Good morning. Good morning. How are we, guys? I hope you're all doing well. Gosh, where's my pen? There it is. So, how is everybody's Wednesday? It's Wednesday. How is everybody's Wednesday going? I am excited because it is April, which means that regardless of what else is going on, time moves apace. It also means I have to send my sister a birthday present. Yeah. So, it is officially April 1st. Yay! Rabbit. New month. It's officially April 1st. And what are y'all up to? Who else is out there? Just me? It's not just me. I see a couple of you hiding. So, did anyone do anything really great yesterday? Watch anything really good? Eat something really nice? Have a good conversation with a friend? Oh, sorry. Looking at the North Cobb Instagram feed. I don't Instagram, but I kind of feel like right now I need to be sort of like plugged in, and they're doing stuff with Spirit Week on Instagram, so I guess I'm there now. It's not my idea of a good time, but we all make sacrifices. Gosh, that's sharp. So, let's see here. What else is going on out there? So, if you are in my honors world class, let's see here. What are you doing today? Oh, today we're doing slavery systems and forced labor. So, that's uplifting. Yeah. This has been a rough week in terms of content. Guten Morgen, Chandler. Morning, Sydney. How we doing? This has been a rough week in terms of content for my classes. Like, they're heavy stuff. My AP Comparative Government's been talking about violence and terrorism. My honors kids have been learning about slavery and the demographic collapse of the Americas. Like, yo, that's some heavy stuff. It's been great things to be discussing on my own, let me tell you, standing in my living room and lecturing to no one. Yeah, it's not exactly the sort of stuff I really want to dwell on right now, but is what it is. So, now, gosh, where did I put it? There it is. So let's see here. Chandler, did you watch? What was your movie selection for last night? Also, Chandler, may I congratulate you on your new SoundCloud career? Drop me a link to that SoundCloud, kid. I'd love to hear your mixtape. So I have to know, like, who are your influences? I also have to say, whoever did the Photoshop job on you, um, I kind of want to. I need to know if that was deliberately bad or what, because it's a choice, man. Good morning, Alani. How are you? Okay. Oh, you watched The Insult. Oh, okay. I was like, what insult? Oh, that's the movie. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting relationship of Lebanese Christians in Israel. Nice. Yeah, I've heard good things about that. I have not seen it myself. That is not one I have seen. Last night I decided to watch one of my favorite movies in the world. I have so many favorite movies, but this one's just like a straight up comfort film for me. It's called The Thin Man. It's from the 1930s. I can't remember what year exactly, and it features William Powell and Myrna Loy. And William Powell plays a private detective who is like for real drunk like 90% of the time, but he's either brilliant or drunk or both at the same time. And it's just this fluffy, I mean, it's a murder mystery. But it's just this fluffy, feel good, like high society, nonsensical thing. And it's just delightful. So if you have never seen The Thin Man with William Powell and Myrna Loy, please watch it. It's so good. It will make you feel much better. I promise. You were not the biggest fan of The Salesman. You just thought it suffered from an Oscar obsession is real, where people are like, "This is going to get me an Oscar," and you're like, oh, "Would you stop it with the slow, lingering close-ups of sad people's faces? Like, just make a good movie." So, Alani, what did you do yesterday? I know you said in your one good thing that you were trying to figure out how to put your D&D campaign online. That actually kind of inspired me, kid, not to play D&D because I have never played D&D, but rather I was trying to figure out, I know that there are ways to do it in terms of like tabletop simulators where you can play like board games with people remotely. And I was trying to figure out if there was a way I could do that for free and set up games with like my sister or my best friend, and then we could like play games and everything while they are isolated in their place and I am isolated in mine. And I think I found a couple of places where I can do that, so I'm kind of excited. My sister and I are going to give it a shot tonight and see if we can play some games. Very meta today, yeah. I haven't watched either of those. My viewing patterns right now have mostly been designed to comfort. Although I am, dang it, I am very excited that a number of films that I really enjoyed in the theater are coming out early on streaming right now or through, other stuff. Um, you have to make your own tokens for the NPCs and everything, looking for or making maps. Map making is so much fun. This is such a nerdy thing, but like when I write, if I'm writing stories, I need to know like the physical locales of like things that I'm writing about. So often I draw out maps. It is a thing that I find very comforting. I like cartography. It's very nice. And I am a massive fan of any book that starts with a map. When you open it up and there's a map, I'm like, ooh, excellent. This is going to be good. Because I like to know where I am. And then I get really mad if the geology doesn't make any sense. I'm like, that doesn't, why would there be volcanoes there? That's not how subduction or orogeny works. What are you doing? There, yeah, that's my problem, Milani, was because I was looking for, tabletop simulators and things like that that would let me and my sister play games like we're four. And everything was like a subscription service. And I'm like, I don't want to pay money, man. I just want to be able to play Battleship with my sister and sink all of her ships. That's what I want to do. We're moving into the orange phase here. Yeah, the research portion of creating a story is always one of my favorite parts, right? You learn all sorts of things. And then people are like, how do you know that? And you're like, well, kind of a long story, but yeah. So you use Roll20? I saw that last night when I was looking, and I was trying to decide if I thought that was worth money or not, but So have you guys checked out the chant for today? I know Chandler must have, because he is featured in it. But if you haven't checked out the chant for today, you ought to, because the chant has gone ahead and done its silly not YouTube, it's silly April Fool's Day edition. You had pre-release access? Because you are a VIP. Well, I don't mind the chant doing April Fool's Day stuff, but I kind of feel like everybody else on the internet needs to not. Like, this is not the time for you to be April Fools. Like, let's not post dumb fake stuff online today. Just what with the everything. Do you need your own velvet rope, sir? Since you're a VIP? Is there a particular title we should refer to you by? You do want a velvet rope. You would also like a Grammy? I don't know about that, kid. Oh gosh, my coffee. Hang on. I have to go get my coffee. I can't do this without coffee. Let me finish this off. And a slow motion camera shot. Okay. There we go. So did anyone out there, I know it was storming while we were talking yesterday, but did anyone out there wind up with their power going out? I know Dr. Roach did for a little while because there was a tree down in her neighborhood. What about you guys? You were a little scared about not going back? Like not going back to school? Hang on half a second. I'm going to go get my coffee and I'll be right back. Well, I'm glad your power stayed on. And yeah, I know. But we just got to take it day by day. and deal with it as it comes. You know? I mean, I know that's a platitude. I know it's not particularly helpful in terms of quelling fears and everything like that. But there are things we can control and things we can't. I can't control a virus. So there are things that we should be afraid of, maybe, or where fears are rational. And then there are fears that aren't productive. And it doesn't mean that you can't have them or feel them, but it does mean that I think you have to just kind of like recognize when your thoughts are being productive and when they're not. No, I don't want to do school from my house either, dudes. Like I was joking with Mrs. Bird earlier today, the choral director. I was joking with her. I got up this morning and here's what I sent her. The thing you can control is D&D and to get those pictures for Coach Ald. I have to admit, I sent him a picture of from my senior year. I'm only doing it because I like you guys. It is the only reason anything like that will ever go online. Yeah. But hang on, what was here? Let me show you what I sent Miss here it is, Miss Bird this morning. There, that's what I sent Miss Bird this morning because I feel like we're living in Groundhog Day. Well, I mean, Chandler, it doesn't really matter if we can't see it or not. I mean, the reality of the situation is that like this is going to go on for a while, so just going to have to be patient, man. Groundhogs scare you? Does the movie Groundhog Day frighten you? Groundhog Day is a great movie if you haven't watched it. It's one of the few Bill Murray movies that I will actually watch and enjoy. Why what, Alani? They're large. They're rodents of unusual size, dude. Like, yeah. So are rabbits. So are squirrels. Squirrels are just tree rats. No. You want to talk about large rodents that we have made socially. Well, they're not around here, so it's not like they're a big problem. But capybaras down in South America, there was a whole family of them that lived by the river where my sister lived in Paraguay. And she had named them all, and I'm like, they're giant they're giant rodents. Why do you no? Why are you naming it? Like, don't name it. Fun fact. Did you know that the capybara was classified as a fish by the Catholic Church so that people could eat it during Lent? You are not an animal person. Chandler. Well, there are some animals that I can't deal with. I am not a rat person, man, like at all. My little cousin, well, he's not little anymore. He's your age. But my cousin used to have a pet rat, and I'd go over and visit, and you'd want to like take the rat out of the cage and play with it. And I'm like, disease vector. No, thank you. Mm-mm. Snakes are amazing. I love snakes. Snakes are so cool. Although they can be scary when you're not expecting them. Like, I was on a hike once. I guess it was the summer after I graduated high school. I was on a program that was studying anthropology, ecology, and geology all around the U.S. And it was through UGA. It was their interdisciplinary field um, uh, interdisciplinary field program, and so we spent 2 months camping out and traveling around the US, mostly to national parks and doing field work on those areas. So we did, like anthropological observations on reservations, kind of really dug into Native history in the Americas. We did some archaeology work, zooarchaeology work, actually. I did some excavations in Nebraska, which was pretty cool. Did geology all across the country, including like we hiked up Mount St. Helens and did off trail backwoods hiking in Yellowstone and did measuring of like salinity and acidity and all sorts of stuff in the hot springs, and it was amazing. Um, and one of the coolest places we went was Chaco Canyon, which is in the freaking middle of nowhere in New Mexico. Like, I mean that quite literally. It was on dirt roads, and it was probably about a 3-hour drive, and from wherever we had been camping the night before. I can't even remember. And I remember Joe, the guy who was driving the van that day, was like, "All right, guys, you got to use the restroom. You need to do it now." And he pointed to this really sketchy, like, gas station. And then he was like, "Your other option is going to be sagebrush for like, about 6 hours. So, like, empty the tank now." Um, Oh, that's terrible, Chandler. No. But at any rate, we went to Chaco and we were there on the summer solstice, which was amazing because there were indigenous people from one of the Hopi pueblos, and I can't remember which one, who had returned for solstice ceremonies, which was really cool. And we got to observe, and it was just beautiful, beautiful stuff because Chaco has some of the largest ancestral Pueblo ruins in the Americas, Pueblo Bonito, and all sorts of stuff. And it's just astoundingly gorgeous. It is the middle of the freaking desert, though, and there is nothing there. There are these beautiful sun-watched, like, buttes in the background and all sorts of stuff, but nothing else. And we were going to hike up to the canyon ridge one morning, which meant that we needed to get up at about 4 so that we could get going before it got really excruciatingly hot. So we get up and we leave the campsite around 4 or 4:30. We start making our way up the actual trailhead about 5:30. The sun starts coming up. We turn off our headlamps, and I'm climbing up the cliff wall. Like, quite literally, you had to like boulder it up, and it was really fun. Not something I could do today, but it was really great. And so I'm bouldering it up the side of the cliff wall, and I'm climbing up, and I am wearing hiking boots because I'm not a moron. And I look down, and because I've just kind of like put my foot down to hoist myself up to the next boulder, and I look down, and there's a coiled rattlesnake all of like 2 inches from my foot because because he was sunning himself because it was still pretty cold. It was still pretty cold, and he was sunning himself there. And he kind of started doing his little rattle and rearing his head back. And I have never climbed anything so fast in my life. It was really terrifying for about a good 30 seconds. And then I was like, he was just doing his thing. He was just doing his thing. It wasn't his fault. And I'm not going to hurt him because he's just doing his thing. He's just being a snake. That's what snakes do. Um, but it would have been really bad had he struck. We did have a snake bite kit on us, but it would have been really, really bad because we were in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah. So I like snakes, but like that was super, super not great. Has anyone ever been out that way? Out to Chaco or Bandelier in New Mexico or any of like those sort of locations? you haven't, I highly recommend them. When we are free to travel again, I do recommend it. I'm not going to have rattlesnake soup. Wasn't his fault. He was just being a snake. New Mexico is gorgeous. It is so beautiful. It is one of my favorite places in the US. I keep making the argument to Mr. Ald that we obviously, our international travels are a big focus that we do. And I don't want to push against that because I love them. But it does disturb me how few of you guys have actually traveled around the country. And what I was kind of thinking was it would be exceedingly cool to frame it as an international trip within our own borders and instead have it be focused on different native territories to really focus on it in terms of native history. And so then you could go to like Colorado and Mesa Verde, and you could go to sort of the southern Utah region, and you could go to northern New Mexico, and you could kind of focus on the Puebloan cultures. You could go to the Pacific Northwest and focus on like Quacayulo cultures and like native populations up in the Pacific Northwest and everything like that. And it'd be really cool if we could arrange some sort of connection with tribal leaders that would be focused on exchange and education rather than the notion of sort of like colonizing service projects, because I have a real problem with those. But like, I think it would be really cool to do some sort of like international interchange, like within our own borders, because tribal lands are not the US. And it'd be cool. We could even go to Alcatraz. But like, that's a pie in the sky, and EF doesn't arrange that sort of stuff, so I don't know about that. But that is Miss Galloway's like idea. Wouldn't it be great? Yeah. What would be awesome about a trip like that is if you could hike the heck out of everything. You do some proper hikes. That's always the thing that gets me when I mean, not so much last trip, but when I traveled to China and everything, we were in this beautiful part of China just to the north of Vietnam, which is kind of in the foothills of the Himalayas, or rather, I mean, not that the Himalayas have foothills, they're like foot mountains. And it's beautiful landscape. And I kept asking our tour guide, I was like, is there a park where we could go and like just, hike and let the kids go and just give them a trailhead and say, go this way and then, meet us back here at some time. And she gave me this look like I was insane. And then I was like, oh, that's right. National parks are kind of an American thing initially. We do many things wrong, but national parks are great. I am a fan. What's your favorite national park that you've been to? You had a friend bring a rattlesnake rattle into show and tell for kindergarten or first grade. I was like, your friend brought a snake to a kindergarten class, a poisonous one? Yosemite? Yosemite is beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, glaciation, glacial valleys. They're so cool. Yosemite is cool. I was actually in Yosemite on my 18th birthday. That was my birthday present. That was awesome. Grand Canyon? Heck yeah. Like, people are always like, oh, the Grand Canyon, really? Yeah, really. It is so astounding. I've never been to Mount St. Jacinto in, no, Mount San Jacinto in California. No. What part of California is it in? North or south? My mom's family is like, her dad's side of the family is from West Virginia, but her mom's side of the family is from Northern California. And so they actually live in, if you've ever seen Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, um, they lived in Bodega, not Bodega Bay, in Bodega. And and that's like Vineyard World. It's kind of north of like Point Reyes in the Coachella Valley. Yeah. Canyonlands. Yeah. Yeah. Has anyone here been to Yellowstone? If you haven't been to Yellowstone, like, dude, it's kind of astounding. Yellowstone's great. But my favorite might be, well, there's so many I like. Zion is just maybe one of the best hikes I have ever done in my life. Zion National Park in southern Utah. It's just the Angel's Landing hike. It's only like 2 miles, but most of it is vertical. There's this part of the hike where you're up on this promontory. It's sort of like a cliff face that it essentially Angel's Landing is like this portion of red sandstone that has been sandblasted and cut through by the Virgin River over, eons and eons. And so it's just this portion of stone that is like standing like this sentinel standing directly above the Virgin River as it curves. And you can hike out to the top of the promontory. And it's gorgeous. And so it's all these switchbacks back and forth, back and forth, back and forth as you go up. And then once you get up to the top, then you have to get out to the promontory. You can't just it's not just like a flat path. There is no path. So what they did was they carved the path into the side of the cliff face. And then there's a chain for you to hold on to so you don't fall off the edge. It is fantastic. And it's not great if you are afraid of heights, but it is super fun, and I highly recommend it. I just managed to get altitude sickness on that hike because it is so high up, because you're already at an incredible altitude, and then all of a sudden you add this massive climb up as well. But it was really fun. It was pretty great. I highly recommend it if you get a chance. So yeah, Zion National Park might be one of my favorites. Crater Lake up in Washington, Oregon, Washington. Yeah. Crater Lake is pretty great because it's an old caldera of a defunct volcano, and the inside of the volcano has a lake in it now, and the lake is entirely formed by snowmelt. There are no rivers or anything feeding it. It's all rainwater and snowmelt that fill the lake, and so it's totally clear. There's no pollution to it, so you can see it's like glass down to 30 meters or whatever. And it is so cold. So cold. My friends and I decided after you have to hike down from the volcanic rim to get down to the lake. And it's basically the height of a 70-story building. Yeah, it's 700 feet down. So you have to hike down and everything, switch back, all the way down. And then when you get down to the bottom, then you can go on a boat ride. You can hire a boat. You can go fishing because there's weird fish in there. You can go to a little island that's in the middle of the lake called Witch's Island. Which is really weird. It's a lava dome. It's kind of where the magma sort of built up in the volcano. And then eventually you have to hike back up, and that sucks. But before we did, my friends and I decided we're here. The water is amazing. Let's go swimming. But of course, none of us had brought swimsuits. So we all jumped in our clothing, which, because we were 18, that seemed sensible. It wasn't, because then we had to hike 70 stories back out. But it was great. It was great fun. Redwood Forest, north of, which one? Did you go to the Muir Woods? Did you go to Muir Woods? Because there's a couple of different ones north of San Francisco. I have been to the Muir Woods, and I've been to another one close to my great-grandmother's place, and I can't remember what one it was. But Muir Woods, I have a fun story about. Same trip. I was still 18. We were going to have a day off in San Francisco. And we wanted to go hit up the redwoods before we went into San Francisco and just messed around all day. But we wanted to make sure that we had a full day in San Francisco. So we were planning on hitting the city at about 9 in the morning or whatever, which meant that we had to get up really early from the campsite and drive to the redwoods. And we were going to give everybody maybe an hour to kind of walk the trails and commune with nature, etc. And so we're all, walking the trails, and or we pull into Muir Woods, and it's closed. It's not open yet because we were there so early. And we were like, but we want to see the trees. We're not going to do anything. So we climbed over the fence. Shh. So we broke into Muir Woods. We justified it by saying, well, we're taxpayers. We paid our entrance fee. And then we actually left a donation too. And we didn't leave anything behind, and we didn't hurt anything. But yes, we broke into a forest. That was a really fun day, except by the end of it, I had a terrible case of poison oak, and I'm not sure how. And then the next 2 weeks were miserable, but that was okay. Went to Amoeba Records in San Francisco, went and saw the houses where Full House was filmed, like the exterior shots of Full House were filmed, all that jazz. Rode a trolley, streetcar, whatever they're called. Went to Ghirardelli's and got a lot of chocolate. Got to embrace the tourists sometime. Fight the man, break into a forest. Yeah, that is the extent of my law breaking right there, Noemi. Is I've broken into a forest. It is not the dumbest thing I've ever done, but it was definitely one of those things where I was like, I feel like maybe I should feel guilty about this. But we did leave a big donation. I mean, big for college students. We were broke. But yeah, the redwoods, if you've never been, are just delightful. You want to reopen Alcatraz so you can live there. Do you want to be like the warden's wife and like grow flowers on Alcatraz? I feel like there's a poem in that notion. Do you want to live in one of the cells, or just like what? You want to stay in the cells and hear the voices? Oh, honey, no, I don't want to be anywhere that is so clearly haunted by like pain. Are you kidding me? Alcatraz is prime real estate. It really is. I'm trying to think, what else did we do while we were in California? Oh, we did a day geologically mapping San Francisco, and there is no way you could ever get me to live in that city. Are you kidding me? Like, I know way too much now about what happens when you build on fill in an earthquake center. Like, controversial questions. Are ghosts real? Uh, you want my answer? No, I don't think they are. You want my slightly more like responsive answer? I think sometimes people thinking about human energy lasting after death gives them comfort and peace, and therefore I do not make fun of people who believe that they are, although, nah, I don't think so. But that's me. Chandler, that is a weird thing to say. Yeah. It makes me slightly concerned. You okay, kid? I mean, like Sydney, there are whole like religions based around that notion and everything. I mean, like espiritismo and all sorts of stuff. And I don't know. I just think that a lot of people who pretend to have answers with regards to that sort of stuff are preying on the sadness of a lot of very desperate people, and that makes me mad. No, Amy with the answers. Yeah, you don't have to wait for the ghost to tell you things. Just like go to the archives and listen to things. Uh, so I have to know, Avery texted me last night to ask if I could have any animal talk to me in the world, what would it be? And I have to know, was that just like a general text that was going around last night, or was I specifically singled out for that? Because she seemed very serious, like she was putting together a spreadsheet about this. You would want to be able to talk to a snake? You would like to have Parseltongue. That's what you would like to have. You missed that one? Okay. So it wasn't like it went out to everybody. Okay. It was still seemed like a very specific question. I was wondering if maybe she was doing some research. You would want dolphins or horses? My initial instinct was dogs, but then I was like, but dogs don't have anything interesting to say. I mean, they're very comforting and they'd be relentlessly positive, I think. Or my dog might just make fun of me because, yeah, he might. But I think I'd want to know what like gorillas and bonobo chimps think. Or, dang it, I forgot to tie that knot. Or octopi. I think octopi would be fascinating. Squirrels don't have anything interesting to say, Noemi. You know this. Squirrels, the only thing they think is, did I turn off the stove? Like, that's the only thing they're thinking. Yeah. Yeah. No, the dog is like, just no, I love you. That's all the dog is thinking is you're my favorite. Like, that is what the dog is thinking. Like, I mean, my dog is probably thinking, how can I annoy Miss Galloway right now? What can I do that will be obnoxious? Like, that is what my dog is thinking. But, yes, like Doug from Up. I love you. Yep. hmm That is a movie I will not be watching right now. Not unless I want to sob. He annoyed you the whole time. Doug is the best part of that movie, man. Don't you diss Doug. We have to protect Doug. I agree, Alani. Doug is best. Yeah, but we already know that Chandler is just like the male version of Cruella de Vil. He was probably very sad she didn't get to make a Dalmatian puppy coat. Not an animal person. Chandler. She was already fashionable and evil. Underrated Disney animated film, too, by the way. That's an excellent one. I really like the style. Mhm. There we go. Be bad and look good doing it. That's the mantra of most villains, though. Yeah? Be bad and look good doing it. Mhm. I think I'll stop there for right now. And don't disagree with the looking good part. Well, villains always, I mean, we can get into like the queer coding of it, but like villains almost always have like distinctive looks or something like that. And in terms of the way that we portray them in film. So like the look good doing it part is kind of like that's one of the signs that you're talking to somebody who is not good, right? Is that they're super put together, right? No, because the looking hit at the end, is that slang or typo? And what evil queen? Which one? There are many evil queens. Why did it why did it make me moderate that one, Noemi? What about that? In Snow White she looked terrible? Not initially. Not initially. In Snow White, she was quite beautiful initially. Chandler. No. No. You don't want to be an actual lawyer. You want to be a TV lawyer. That's a different thing, sir. Christina. How to Get Away with Lots of Murders. Noemi's going to do the documentary and she's going to make you look like Joe Exotic. That's amazing. No, no, I'll watch it. You make that documentary, and I'll do the blurb for it. I'll review it. I don't know if we can get you a Grammy, dude, but we might be able to get you uh, a short form documentary Oscar. Mhm. Oh, Chandler. No. You and I have very different opinions on that matter. Southern chic. He's not even like, no, Southern chic. If you want Southern chic, then you need to watch like Designing Women. Country Southern chic. Or like just, I don't know. He is the fashion icon of that part of Oklahoma. Now that is true. See, the thing is I don't consider Oklahoma the South. Yeah. Rural, yeah. Country, yeah. It ain't the South. People's definition of the South is really messed up. I disagree with most of it. But that's no, 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 no. The accent isn't what makes the South. No. I mean, because y'all can have a twang and not be Southern, you know? I agree, Christina. You're correct. Country Western chic? It's Midwestern if he's anything, but whatever. He's rural. That's all he is, man. And that's cool. My aunt and uncle lived for a time in Oklahoma, and so when we'd go and visit them, like, there ain't a lot there. They lived in Tulsa, and actually in a pretty cool part of like of Tulsa, if Tulsa has a cool part. But I just remember that there was not much. Yeah, there's definitely wannabe Southern, right? There's like the people who live in parts of the country that are definitely not the South, who still have sort of this like lost cause mentality, and yeah, like deify it, and no, not so much. Mhm. You were born in Oklahoma? Hmm, I didn't know that. Yeah, you would never consider yourself Southern. How long have you lived in the South? I'm so not surprised that you know that, Chandler. Yeah, Florida is not the well, there are parts of Florida that are definitely the South, but those are mostly in the Panhandle, like where it's spillover from Alabama and spillover from South Georgia. But like Orlando ain't the South, and Miami is something different. Miami is one part like Cuba and one part Las Vegas and one part New York, I think. Virginia Beach is different though. Like there's a difference between like when you hit Virginia Beach, you're getting up into mid Atlantic at that point. Yeah, there you go. I don't have an accent when I normally speak, Chandler, but like you can work on one. You just have to make sure that it's not terrible, like 90% of Southern accents in most media are. I mean, like, I find that the further north I travel within the country, like if I'm out of the country, it doesn't matter. The further north I travel, the more I find myself performing a Southern accent because it's kind of what people expect. So, like, when I was in grad school in Michigan, everybody knew I was like the student from Georgia. And so it was like, you know, people would be like, "Oh, you're from Georgia," and I'd be like, "Yeah." So and the accent would come out a little bit. Sometimes I also it's performative when I'm annoyed about something, or if I want something. I find it very useful at mechanics to use a Southern accent. Like, y'all, I don't know what's up, but like my check engine lights come on and I could really use some help. Thanks. Like that seems to help a lot. Southern accents have a lot going for them. I find them very useful. Plus, I mean, some things just sound better with a Southern accent. I mean, like being able to drop a proper bless your heart is a useful one. Yeah. There's something so deliciously condescending about it. And I really think that the rest of the country should more openly accept the term y'all. It's gender neutral. Everybody should use it. Yeah, but some people don't know how to spell it properly, and it pisses me off. Excuse me, it makes me upset. Um, whenever I see people spell it Y-A apostrophe L-L, and I'm like, no, you don't know. You don't get to use the term unless you can spell it properly. Alani! It's Y apostrophe A-L-L. It's a contraction of you and all. No, you're wrong. Incorrect. I also have very strong feelings about the correct spelling of yeah. Yeah is spelled Y-A, not Y-A, Y-E-A-H. If you spell it just Y-E-A, you're spelling yay, as in I vote yay. Yes. Alani, that is the correct spelling of yeah. It is the orthographic hill upon which I will die. Christina, I have to confess, I don't eat grits. I don't like them. It's a texture thing. Everybody's always like, you just haven't had my grits. My grits are great. And I've had grits that I know are probably about as good as grits get. And I just hate them. I hate them. I respect the culinary like gift and appreciation of them. They are just not my thing. Neither is sweet tea. I do not drink sweet tea. I can't handle it. Makes my molars melt. On the other hand, I will die for chicken and waffles. And my friend and I from grad school, because we were up in Michigan, we would drive from Ann Arbor to the border of Ohio, which was like 2 hours, just to be able to hit up the closest Waffle House because there were no Waffle Houses in the state of Michigan when I lived there. So it was worth it. She and I would drive, like, we'd be like 7 at night, and we'd be like, I just need to go to Waffle House. Like, I just miss Waffle House. She was from North Carolina, so she understood. So we'd get in the car and drive south for 2 hours until we hit like the first Waffle House across the border. It was very sad. Don't move places that don't have Waffle Houses. They don't know what they're doing. Well, I suppose that's good if you like Chick-fil-A. I don't eat there. Sweet Dr. Pepper is whenever I wind up at a restaurant that doesn't have Coke, that's one thing that marks me as Southern, I suppose. Chandler. I'm disappointed in you, son. Waffle House isn't about liking the food, man. It's not. Waffle House is about the atmosphere and the experience and the bad decisions you have made that got you to Waffle House. Also, Waffle House is probably where I wrote like 90% of my undergraduate thesis and most of my graduate work. Well, not in Michigan. There was another diner that I went to there. It is an experience. It is also quite literally a useful tool in terms of determining the scale of disaster. Well, then you like Waffle House, man. Yeah. My sister works at FEMA, and like the Waffle House index is a real thing. It tells them like basically, have you hit the disaster? Is the Waffle House open? Is it serving a full menu? Yes. Okay, keep driving. You haven't hit the bad part yet. Like that is one of the things that they use to kind of like the Waffle House index is a real thing. That's ambiance, Chandler. It's ambiance. Philistine. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Waffle Houses do booming businesses when you have people who stay up far too late and make poor choices. I do. I like hole in the wall restaurants. I like places like the best barbecue joints are the ones where you're like, I don't know about this one. I went to a place up in North Georgia because my family and I, whenever we do Thanksgiving, we rent a cabin at usually at a state park, and then we just like camp out for the week and go hiking and like chill out, and it's really nice. Um, and we were up. Gosh, which park were we at this time? I can't remember. Kitchen was tiny though. It was an adventure in terms of cooking. But I'll think of it. We were way up in North Georgia, and there was this hole in the wall barbecue place on the side of this highway, and I was like, that one looks sketchy. We should eat there because sketchy barbecue places serve the best barbecue, right? Um, and we drove up on a Saturday afternoon because we were going to go and hit it up and see if it was any good and everything. And there was a line outside. Like we're in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, in the middle of the mountains. There's this barbecue joint on the side of the road, and there are just like lines of people outside, and you're like, this is the correct choice. We have made a good decision. And it was. Mhm. True, it is difficult for yeah, the line outside is always a good sign. True, it is difficult for vegetarians, especially in the South. Um, there's this like meat and three place kind of up by Cartersville called Doug's. Um, and it's not my favorite. I think it's an experience. um, but I remember the first time I went and I was looking at, it's a meat and three, right? So it's like, Southern style vegetables, and then you can have like a meat with it if you want, or four vegetable plates or whatever. But I was looking at what they had under the vegetables, and like mac and cheese is under the vegetable section, and you're like, hmm. And then you're like, chicken and dumplings? Why are chicken and dumplings under the vegetable section? And then I was like, you know what? Like, if you actually need vegetarian food, like, there's nothing here for you because all the vegetables have like pork, like, bacon in it and that sort of stuff. Oh, sure, of course. Yeah, Sydney, you want me to go over some of those? Do you want me to answer yours? Here I am just kind of like blathering on. I can do that. Absolutely. You guys asked some good questions too. Let's see here. Let's see. Hola, how are you, Kamaya? Let's see. Sydney, you asked, could I further explain post revolutionary state terror and in what ways it's different from state terror and state sponsored terror? Oh man, that's a good one. Okay. So, post revolutionary state terror is particularly dealing with like the notion of trying to keep a political system or a new regime in power or to justify its existence. So, like, the best example of it is the one that I was talking about in class with regards to in class in the video lecture where I was talking about the French Revolution. So the French Revolution begins in 1789, right? And then the Reign of Terror takes place from 1793 to 94. And it's that right there, that period from 1793 to 1794 is a period of post-revolutionary state terror. The revolution has, to some degree, already occurred, right? They've already killed the king by that point. Louis the 16th has been separated from his head. The whole government system has been overthrown, and they've established a new regime. But what they're trying to do by enacting terror, that is by essentially like looking to enforce the policies of this new government by threat of violence, i.e. the guillotine, is they're trying to shore up support and to prevent reaction against the new regime. So that's what post-revolutionary state terror. That's where like the state is trying to get rid of any opposition to the new regime. That's usually what that is. So like in the years following a regime change, if you see large numbers of people being rounded up or executed or imprisoned or re-educated, then what you're looking at is post-revolutionary state terror. State terror itself, and actually Avery asked a really good question about this. She wanted to know how can it be state terrorism if it's if the whole idea of terrorism is that you have a non-state actor, right? Well, the notion here is that unfortunately the terms get blurred a little bit, but broadly we use the term state terror to distinguish between like the legitimate use of force of a state against its citizens, like through policing actions, and the illegitimate use of force by the state that really has to do with the legitimacy of violence. So if I don't know, Christina steals Chandler's chicken, or Chandler steals a puppy and decides to skin it to make a Dalmatian skin coat. Then the state could use force against either of them because they have done things that are in violation of publicly agreed upon laws and policies. And no one really argues. Not now. There's a difference between like force and excessive force, but like the state could use violence to arrest Chandler, to punish him for having so cruelly hurt a puppy, which is not acceptable ever. Um, and the state could do that. And generally speaking, we as the public would probably agree that the state was in the right to do that. Where state terror differs is that the state is using force and violence indiscriminately, and not as a means of upholding law, but rather as a means of protecting itself, or by keeping individuals still in power. So that's kind of the difference there. Yeah, that's some of the stuff there. Let's see here. What was your other question? And state-sponsored terror is where a state wants to or has political goals that it finds would be easily achieved by the use of terror, but it wants to give the impression of legitimacy and law-abiding sort of status. And so it doesn't want to get its official hands dirty by having the military actively act in this regard or actively engage in acts of terror. And so therefore it hires intermediaries, almost like, or it sponsors them, almost like mercenaries. And Iran and Saudi Arabia are both fairly well known for having done both of those things. Yep. Let's see here. Arrest you and put you in Alcatraz. If you skin a puppy, I'm putting you not in Alcatraz because you would enjoy that. How about Rikers? Yeah. Anybody else want me to hit up their questions from yesterday's assignment? Sydney, did that help a little bit? I'm excited because I might actually leave my place today and go and carry out an errand. This is exciting. I might actually have to fill my car up with gas. It's been on less than a quarter tank for like 3 weeks. Yeah, post-revolutionary state terror is a very narrow thing. It doesn't really happen very frequently. The best examples would be post-revolutionary France or actually the executions in Iran after the Iranian Revolution, or the Cultural Revolution in China. Those are good examples of that. But it's something that it's very contextually specific. Yeah. Okay. So yes, I am planning on leaving my home today, going out into the wider world because I have an errand I need to run. I might even drive by the school because I hear a rumor that we have a new sign out front. Ooh. What else are you guys going to be up to today? What's on the docket? What creative projects are we currently working on? None? No creative projects at all? You're about to go pay the enrollment fee for UGA. Heck yeah. Congratulations, Sydney. I mean, not congratulations for having to write a big check. I'm very sorry about that. But congratulations on having a plan and stepping towards it. Good job. Have you already submitted your housing requests? And if so, where are you trying to live? You've already chosen your housing place. So what's your goal? What you looking at? Well, the housing options have so massively changed since I was there, though. I lived in the Hill community. I lived in Church for the first 2 years. And Church was an all-female dorm. Rutherford. Oh, Rutherford's great, man. Heck yeah. Not to UGA. Christina, where are you planning on heading? Yeah, Rutherford's good. Rutherford's up there by Myers Quad. That's nice. Play some Ultimate Frisbee. Not far from Bolton. No, not Bolton. Bolton's. What's the one up there? It's not O House. It was the only one that used to be like reliably open on. The food was good. Snelling. Snelling's up there. You need to fill up your paperwork for college? Yeah. You have to, oh, you're not spilling the tea quite yet, but it's somewhere warm. Okay. All right. Somewhere warm. What were your other choices, Sydney? And is this, which Molly is this? Who you're going to room with? Yeah, I lived in Church, which was, I mean, it's a classic style dorm in which, like, it's two people to a room, and then there's communal bathrooms at the end of the hall and everything. And like, I understand that that's like really old fashioned now, but it was fine. It was a big enough room. We had plenty of closet space, and I lived on the first floor, which meant that the ceilings were 10 foot. So I could have a 6 foot loft and still be able to sit up in my bed and not hit my head on the ceiling and have plenty of space below. And we had a sink in the room. Sink in the room is like the holy grail. Yeah. Well, I think you made an excellent choice, Sydney. I think you made a great choice because Auburn doesn't even know what their mascot is. They don't. What are they? Like, they're a war eagle? They're tigers? They're the plainsmen? Like, what are they? No. UGA knows what it is. Good choice. Plus, Athens is so much better. Athens is an excellent place. You will enjoy yourself mightily. Just don't enjoy yourself too much. Oh my God, Miss Galloway, what? I'm just speaking truth. Auburn doesn't even know what its mascot is. It is something to look forward to. And if you want, I can provide you with a list of all of the best trees for tree climbing around campus. This is very important. It's important to have something good to look forward to, yeah? Sydney, what are you thinking of studying? Biology or psychology? Oh, there you go. I like that. That's good. So it sounds like you'll be over on South Campus or on the PJ building then for a lot of it. Not the prettiest architecture on campus, unfortunately. That's the stuff that they built in the 60s and 70s, and it's all like serious brutalist architecture. It's terrible. But what you gonna do? I have fond memories of the PJ Plaza, though, the Psychology Journalism Plaza. I had some really good classes there. And in that case, actually, your housing, if you get Rutherford, makes a lot of sense because you'll be in the right area of campus. I lived. Church is. Oh my goodness, which is it? Lumpkin? It's on Lumpkin, I think. Yeah, it's down It's on one of the hills. Athens is all hills, though. It's on one of the hills that's relatively close to Old Campus. But man, if I was late for class, it was a haul to where most of my classes were. Oh yeah, I mean, if you're taking a lot of science classes, Rutherford is right there by South Campus. Yeah, it's a good pick. And Snelling, Bolton might be better now. I mean, when I was there, nobody ate at Bolton. It was called Revolton Bolton for a reason. And I live closest to O House. Um, yeah, it's not far at all from the Tate Center. No, it's pretty centrally located, and you should be able to get all of the buses. Most important one, Orbit. Um, Stay off of family housing. You'll wind up in the boonies. No one ever knows. You get on the family housing bus, you're just like lost for like just say goodbye to your loved ones. It'll be a while before you get back. Let's see how your Flipgrid responses are going. How many have we got? Doing okay, huh? I do appreciate the Flipgrid videos in which you feature your animals. Those are my favorites. Those are excellent. I like those. Looks like a couple of you guys have decided to do that. And then, Nice. Okay. All right. You're getting it done. Good. Glad to see those. I need to come up with like a Flipgrid bingo card where it's like the most common things that I see in Flipgrids. My personal favorite being obviously the ceiling fans behind your heads because you're holding your phone down like this and everything. So like that's always really entertaining to me. Your pets, random family members who interrupt you in the middle. I think Drake had one where he was interrupted by his sister. So that was fun. I need to, yeah, I think I should come up with a Flipgrid bingo card for you guys because they're pretty good. I might even get lunch outside of home. That is a thing I might choose to do. If I do, what should I do? What food should I get? These are exciting questions. I have to ask, is anyone paying any attention to the gifts that I put on the Flipgrids? Because I take a lot of time in choosing them. I'm very thoughtful about my gift selection. You do not know how you're going to get back to work after spring break? Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that myself, man. I'm kind of worried about getting too in my own head without work. So I don't know. I might make myself go ahead and draft up lessons a little bit in advance. Yeah. Or did violence choose you? I am glad you appreciate them. I take a lot of you have to really look for the proper GIF. You really do. I was so upset that when we did the force, violence, and agency one, what I really wanted was a Monty Python GIF that said, "Come and see the violence inherent in the system." That's the line I wanted, but it didn't have it. But the closest was the line directly before it, the "Help, help, I'm being repressed." So that's what I went with, because hopefully, that works. Oh, you understand. I choose violence. Or did violence choose you? Well, Cersei definitely chose violence, Now, granted, the structures of Westeros definitely push her in that direction. We can get into all sorts of patriarchal values and how limited her choices were, but ultimately, she chose a number of exceedingly violent acts. She didn't have to blow up the Great Sept. She chose to do that. There were other things she could have done. I mean, subset of classes that Miss Galloway would like to teach is political science in Game of Thrones, political science or historical analysis of, choose your favorite pop culture thing and then let's apply a lens to it. That'd be really fun. I have a friend of mine who teaches at Paideia, and she is teaching a class right now on society in Star Wars, which I'm kind of envious of. Is the abstinent is abstaining from violence or abstaining from choices anti-violent? Well, but then you're you're disconnecting from humanity. You have to make choices. If you don't make choices, you're just living in waiting for Godot, right? You're just living in an existential state of dread. And that isn't living. That's just being, and that's not effective for anything. So you have to make choices, and by making choices, you limit choices, right? It's like a choose your own adventure novel. Yeah. If I choose to turn to page 27, then I really can't, unless I'm cheating, go back and make the choice again until we come up with some sort of looper technology, which is another good movie. Unless we come up with some sort of looper technology, you are just going to have to live with the choices you make, and those choices result in a narrowing of options, unless you adhere to the idea of string theory or multiple universes, and that essentially every choice you make is a branching choice, right? And so for every decision that you make, there is another reality in which you made the other decisions possible at that moment. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you are the ones making those other decisions, because if we get into the notion of the self, right? The self is the idea of you being the culmination of all of these choices and actions. Yeah. And on that note, I think I have to make the choice to end the stream. Yeah. Take care. I'll see you around. Okay. Send me a note if you've got a question about content or anything like that. And I look forward to seeing your Flipgrid. Okay. Take care, guys. Bye.